Welcome to the dynamic learning hub of XLR at Andheri East. A prime spot conveniently located at just a 5-minute walk from LIC Andheri Metro. In our journey of over a decade, we have proudly trained over 2 lakh students. We have also been recognized by Deloitte, Silicon India, and other accreditation bodies. Experience learning like never before in our spacious and comfortable classrooms. With high-definition projectors and state-of-the-art acoustics in place, we ensure effective learning even to the farthest point in the room. The hybrid mode is a game changer as you can enjoy the benefits of a live classroom from the comfort of your home. Even if you happen to miss any classroom session, you can still attend the same session with the same trainer at the same time at your convenience, maintaining consistency in your learning progress. Wanna get started? Join us for a demo or career chat over a cup of coffee at our Andheri branch. XLR. We don't just train, we build careers.
Yes, so the collaboration with XLR was an excellent one. We conducted a Power BI workshop with Advanced Excel over a span of 3 days. The workshop was almost 12 hours long in total. Mr. Karthik, who was an amazing trainer, helped the students understand the concepts deeply. I am sure that the students will be able to apply these concepts in their careers as well as their daily lives.
The trainer, Mr. Karthik, was an excellent person where he explained in very detailed manner on how to give great insights using very complex data sets.
So it was a machine learning workshop. We learned a lot from the course and it was a great experience attending the workshop.
The trainer was very helpful. He had a hands-on approach with his teaching and it was fabulous.
This was a great experience for me. So I would absolutely love it if XLR and its team would come again to our campus and conduct more events like this.
It was a great course and it started from basics and took me to a great extent.
The experience of the workshop was really nice. The feedback from all the students was positive. They understood the concept. The workshop was also practical based with some questions. The experience with XLR was very smooth. They helped us in conducting the workshop smoothly right from the booking of the vendor and deciding the course till the distribution of certificates. In overall, this workshop was a success during our Technical Fest Atmos, and I thank XLR for being a part of it.
Good morning, students. So, Bala, you can start the session.
Yeah, sure, Chandana.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So, since last 2 sessions, we have been trying to see the overview of Linux and the basic understanding and the commands. So today we're just trying to have an overview and discussion about the introduction on the cloud computing. Okay. So many people might have heard about the term called cloud. So it's being nowadays being a popular model where all the technologies compared to all technologies as well, and many people and the employment in the jobs that has been purely it's been into high share when it comes to the cloud technology. Okay, we have a different vendors and different companies who are trying to give as a service to the customer with the help of this cloud computing. So we will try to understand the basic model of how it works and what is cloud computing. Okay, just like an introduction. So what is cloud and why cloud? Okay, before we understand why cloud is required. So we can see in general usage what we were trying to store, the data. Either it can be a files or it might be a books, ebooks, or the documents or the data and the applications and the videos, right? Earlier days, how we'll try to store it. We used to store it in a physical hard drives or hard disk, correct? In computers or any physical devices. So the thing becoming what actually happens, the data that you are trying to store, that is actually not trying to give you an enough space in the physical devices. Now, what about if you have a lot of data and you might have a confusion on where the data has to be stored? And when the data is fully actually it's out of the space and you're running out of hard drive space in the physical devices. So what should be the next solution? So these might be the questions that it could arise when we have a lots of a data, right? And it is not possible that everything that has to be stored inside the physical devices, because you cannot try to keep on spending the your cost on trying to purchase many hard disks, right? Many physical devices. So that's when the concept of cloud comes in. Okay, so for example, if you might have taken example of a Google Drive. So Google Drive, it is nothing but a virtual cloud storage. So what actually happening, either are documents or the videos or the images, the photos, we are trying to store in the cloud Google Drive, correct? So simply you're trying to access either from your mobile or your laptops or from any external devices. You are simply trying to access your data, modify the data, upload the data, and delete the data. So where you are trying to do it? Inside the cloud. So Google Drive is nothing but a virtual storage that's in the cloud. Okay. So by definition, if we can see, simply put, the cloud computing is the delivery of computing services, including servers, storage, database, networking, software, analytics, and intelligence over the internet. So over the internet term, that's when it comes as a cloud, the cloud. Okay, the cloud term is nothing but the data or the services, like it can be a virtual servers or the storage services, the database, the networking services, softwares, analyticals, and all different application services we are trying to access directly over the cloud. Okay, over the internet. That is nothing but a cloud. So simply the cloud refers to the servers or the services or applications accessed over the internet. Okay, so actually the cloud is managed by the different companies. Okay, they are trying to give us a services. Okay, so by using cloud computing, users and companies do not have to manage the physical servers themselves or run any software applications on their own machines. Okay, so the cloud enables users to access the same files and applications from almost any device, because the computing and the storage takes place on a servers in a data center instead of locally on the user device, right? So that is why, if you can see, this is why a user can log into the Instagram account on a new phone. After the old phone, if that is actually having any issues in the software or the old phone breaks, and you can still find your Instagram account and the data into other place with all the photos, videos, and the conversation history and everything. Okay, because your data being stored in the cloud environment over the internet, because the data is not stored inside the physical devices, because the cloud technology is trying to replace all old traditional model. Okay, so it works, this cloud computing technology, it works same with the cloud email providers. Like example, as I told you, the Gmail, Microsoft 365, and the Google Drive, as we have told you, and the Dropbox as well. Okay, it is for a general purpose. For companies, usually switching to the cloud computing removes like some IT cost, like operational cost and IT costs, and they don't need to spend the amount on purchasing the servers or the physical devices to have a proper IT infrastructure. Okay, and they no longer need to update and maintain their own servers as the cloud vendor they are using, which they will try to do that. Okay, so who are the cloud vendors here? Who are trying to provide these cloud services to the customers or the companies? We are calling them as a cloud vendors. Okay, we are calling them as a cloud vendor. Who are the cloud vendors? Like companies like Amazon Web Services. We are calling that as an AWS, and Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. It's nothing but a GCP, right? And we have so many, like these are the top three actually: Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and the Google Platform. We have others as well. We have third-party vendors like Alibaba, SoftLayer, Salesforce. These are like extension. Like there are actually third-party as well, like which they are trying to still use it. So these are the popular cloud vendors. So what actually they are trying to do? They are trying to maintain their infrastructure or the data centers and trying to provide these services to the customers. Okay, what is that? They are trying to provide these services to the customers, like servers, storage, database, networking, softwares, analyticals, and IoTs over the internet. Okay, so these are the popular services that's being offered by the cloud vendors. So these are the companies, they are trying to provide the services to the customers or the company or the companies. Okay, or enterprise, private organizations or government organizations, mid-scale organizations. So different firms. What actually we are trying to do? We are trying to rent. Okay, or for example, we are trying to rent the cloud services, right? That means the model, it works as a pay as you go model. Pay as you go model. That means for whatever the amount of time I'm trying to use the services, for that only I need to pay the rent. Okay, if you try to take an example for Gmail Drive, so what we are trying to do, by default Gmail will try to offer like a 15 GB of a cloud storage, right? So once 15 GB is exhausted, what is the next step? Google will try to send out you an email saying that purchase that storage drive. Okay, purchase the additional storage to have your data filled. Correct. So what they are trying to do, they are trying to provide your services. We are calling that as a storage services, right? So what they will try to do, you can try to purchase 100 GB of a storage drive. Okay, pay around 1,000 rupees per month, right? For example. So here, if 15 GB is not sufficient for us, so we have to pay amount for additional storage drive. Like for example, monthly basis or yearly basis, there might be different options or the plans. So they will try to provide you the services, and this is one of the storage services they are trying to provide. Correct? They are are trying to provide applications like even Google App Engine. There is an application that will help developers to code the software, like a Google company is trying to provide as well. Even Microsoft Azure is also, it's a famous model because it's trying to provide different services, right? Like Microsoft Office 365, that is a popular model you can try to access as well over the internet. So these are the various ways that how it will be helpful for us to analyze, correct? All right. So where does, you can see by definition, like a person can access the data anywhere, which is stored over the internet. Okay. So that means either from a browser or any through a software application, a user can access the data across the globe stored over the internet cloud. That means it is simply nothing but a storing data or the applications on a remote servers, because these remote servers are managed by the cloud vendors, processing data or applications from the servers and accessing the data or applications via the internet. Okay. This is how it works out. So before cloud computing, how it is used to be? So in general, for example, if you want to host a website, there are different methods that you need to follow here, right? There are different methods that you need to follow here. What was that? You need to purchase the physical servers. Okay, I'll show you that. How it used to be? You need to purchase a physical servers. That means if you want to have a, for example, you have a small company, okay, you want to deploy some website, like a random e-commerce website or any, shopping website or something. So what you have to do, you have to actually purchase servers. Like these are nothing but a physical servers. Either you need to purchase in a, complete set of servers like a stack, and then once you purchase, you need to have applications installed in these computers, correct? That means we need to recruit a manpower, correct? We need a people who are skilled individuals who will try to maintain the servers, who will try to monitor the servers. That means they will try to install the applications, they will try to monitor that, and they will try to have it properly connected so that the website is deployed across the servers. All right. So once the deployment is done, so you need to give a salaries to these persons as well. You need to maintain this under, proper, in structured environment. Like for example, you need to maintain these servers under, proper cooling systems. You need an AC, you need a power, you need to purchase the additional, wires that has to be connected over there. Correct. So these physical servers needs some maintenance. Even if you have to purchase, you need to order the servers. You need to actually send the quotations. You need to finalize the bill, and these will be delivered across. It takes around 1 month to deliver from different countries, and then it has to monitor to give salary. So it is trying to involve cost. Mainly, it is trying to involve cost, right? So that's when the problem comes in. Correct. So the main things how it will need to do the cost, time, maintenance. These are the main factors that will be involved when you're trying to maintain your own infrastructure, correct? And then you successfully try to have your deployment, like servers installed and being ready. And then what's the next step? Once the server setups are ready, the next step immediately your website is available over the internet, correct? So what actually happened? If more people are accessing this website because your website is popular. So because if it is trying to have a high traffic, because the same website being accessed by multiple people, then again you need more servers, correct? You again need more servers. Then what happened? Again you need to purchase the servers. You need to include in these set of servers again, and these has to be monitored again, and the software has to be installed in the new servers. So the cycle, it just repeats, correct? It just keeps on repeats. That's a it's a never ending process if it is a physical environment, correct? So what actually happens, if you need a more servers, again you need to purchase, again you need to install the softwares, and again it has to be available, it has to be installed and maintained and operated. So for example, your website is not popular. After 6 months, your website is not popular, but you try to spend so much of a cost and you already try to invest so much of money. Your website is not popular because there is a competitor website comes in. Then what happened? There is no huge, kind of a usage of this website, and you are getting into loss. Correct? So what actually happens? You cannot try to sell these servers because you already purchased it. Correct? You cannot try to sell off because you already spent amount. You again need to give salaries to the people, like the IT team, the people who have to maintain the servers, like individuals who are trying to maintain that. That is again a biggest disadvantage. So these are the main disadvantages. Let us try to see what are those disadvantages. Okay. So if you consider the cost, the setup is very expensive. Okay, because you're trying to purchase the servers, you need to order that, you need to get it approved. You have to give salaries to the people who maintains those servers, trying to install developers, front end developers, or the support engineers, or the IT operational team. So everything it comes into the cost. That is really very much expensive, right? That is very expensive. And even if you have to troubleshoot the issues, that can be very much tedious and can conflict with your business goals. Because if the website is not working, or there is an application issue or the software issue, then what actually happens in the physical infrastructure, you have to troubleshoot on your own, and it takes time. That might be, trying to affect the business goals. It requires a time, right? Since the traffic is varying, traffic means the accessibility of the website. Like it might be high traffic or the low traffic. If there is a high traffic, you need a more servers. If you're low traffic, there is no need of a servers. So if the website is not popular, what actually happens? Your servers will be idle most of the time because the servers will keep operating, right? The servers will be still on. Servers are nothing but a physical computer machines, for example, okay, which is having a high configuration. We are calling that as a servers. The servers can be physical server, the server can be virtual server. Okay. So here, the servers which are being maintained, that will be mostly idle most of the time because there is a less traffic due to less usage of the website. So that will be a loss. Correct. So these are the main disadvantages that are coming into the picture. All right. So what actually happens out of this, the cloud computing, what actually happening? These are the cloud vendors who are trying to maintain their own data centers. Okay, data centers. So what actually they are trying to do? They will try to invest money. They will try to invest the cost. They will try to maintain these data centers, the servers, across different parts of the globe. And they are trying to provide the services to the customers. That means we don't need to worry about trying to purchase the servers, monitor and maintain the servers, and trying to operate it. Because the cloud vendors are trying to give the services for us by maintaining this data centers over across the globe. So we don't need to spend money directly on the physical infrastructure. Okay, because the cloud computing will work of the technology called virtualization. Okay, virtualization. The cloud computing will works with the help of virtualization techniques. So what actually happened? The cloud vendors will try to maintain the data centers. There, the servers they will try to purchase and trying to install there. And with the concept of a virtualization, they will try to provide a remote access to the servers and the services and the applications and storage and the database services. Okay. So with the help of a virtualization concept, we will get a remote access. Okay. You don't need to purchase a physical server. You are simply getting a virtual access to the physical server maintained by these companies like a Google vendors. All right. So virtual machines, what actually happened? They will try to install a software called some hypervisor. All right. So that we are trying to directly access sitting at our home, simply trying to input username and password and trying to access over the internet. Okay, so what actually happened, cloud servers in general, that will be always online and always available, because that maintenance being done by these cloud vendors. Okay, so cloud vendors generally back up their services on a multiple machines across multiple parts across the globe, like a multiple regions you can say. So users access cloud services either through a browser or through an application connecting to the cloud over the internet. That is through maintain many internet networks. Okay, whatever the device it is, but they will try to maintain those servers we are trying to access over the cloud. So simply how it is, we can try to take an example. You are sitting at your home trying to access Gmail or the Google Drive application, and you are trying to store all amount of a cloud storage, correct? So how you are trying to upload your data and trying to access your data storage and everything, how it is possible? Because the backend, whatever the data you're trying to store, for example, they will require a physical drive, right? So this physical drive, it is maintained by cloud vendor. Okay, if it can be a 15 GB, 100 GB, or TBs or petabytes, anything, that will be completely maintained. The physical drives will be maintained over the data centers by managed by these cloud vendors. So simply, we are accessing the application over the browser and trying to store the data. It is nothing but a service. So we are not trying to pay the amount, or we are not trying to purchase the drives, correct? We are trying to simply purchase the service in terms of a rental basis or pay as you go. That means how much you use, you will try to pay the amount. That's the logic over here. Okay. So that's when the cloud computing model it comes in. So the resources available in the cloud. Okay. What are the resources? As I told you, database services, storage services, network services, application services, software services, IoTs. Okay, these are the services. So these services are actually actively managed by the cloud provider. All right. So let's try to understand the different cloud services models as well now. All right. Just a moment. Let me share the screen quick. So we will try to understand the different cloud services models. Okay. So these are the important services that we need to understand on trying to have an overview of the cloud computing. All right. So you can see there are different services, that is nothing but a IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. Okay. So if you see, the cloud service includes infrastructure, applications, Yeah. Just there was a sudden disconnect. Yeah. So here, software as a service, we can try to take an example on, for example, you can try to take an example of a Gmail, Google Drive, correct? Office 365, correct? So what actually we are trying to do here, cloud vendor is trying to provide the software as a service to the customers. So what actually happened? Instead of users installing an application on their device, okay? So the SaaS applications are hosted on the cloud servers, and users can access them over the internet. Okay, so SaaS is nothing but renting a house, right? We are trying to renting a house, and the landlord maintains the house. So who is the rent here? The landlord is nothing but a Google company, correct? Google company is a landlord. We are trying to rent house. It is kind of an example, for example, right? So the landlord maintains the house, and the tenant mostly gets to use it as if they owned it. Like I'm trying to use these services, trying to rent the house, trying to use all the resources. Okay, so that means I'm trying to pay the amount monthly basis or yearly basis, so that I'm trying to have it used. It, for example, it can be a Gmail, Google Drive, Office 365, and Salesforce, and the Slack applications. There are different, right? So these are the different software as a service applications. So if you see clearly observe, let me try to show that. If you clearly observe here, these are the services which are actually managed by the cloud vendor. What are those? Applications, runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualizations, and the servers, the physical servers, and the physical storage, and the backend network infrastructure, everything, all the hardware aspects will be managed by the cloud vendors here. The only thing you will try to manage here, you are simply using the software. You are simply using an application. Either it can be a Gmail or the Google Drive, or different applications. Only you have an access to this. At the backend, software installations, maintenance, the physical servers, or the development, or the storage, everything that will be managed by the cloud vendor, right? That is nothing but a Google company, for example, what we have seen. So this is nothing but a software as a service, right? When it comes to the platform as a service, in this model, companies don't need to pay for the hosted applications. Instead, they pay for the things that they need to build their own applications. Okay, so PaaS cloud vendors offer everything necessary for building an application. Okay, including development tools, the infrastructure, the operating system over the internet. So PaaS can be compared to renting all the tools and the equipment necessary for building a house instead of renting the house itself. Okay, so that means this kind of a PaaS services will be most beneficial to the developers. So what actually developers need? A developer want to develop a software, he needs a platform so that he can try to develop the code, correct? So here what actually happening, that here, that means you will get a platform, and also you will try to manage the data and the application services. And the remaining all aspects like a runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, servers, storage, networking, everything will be managed by the cloud vendors. All right. So this is about PaaS. So that means inside the platform as a service, we will get a platform. That means which is required to develop an application, like a build an application. That might be development tools, infrastructure, and operating system. Okay. So what are the examples for here? As I told you, Google App Engine. Okay. And there are some software platforms. This is nothing but a Heroku, and Microsoft Azure also comes into platform as a service. All right. So let's talk about infrastructure as a service. Now, if you see the red color over here, it was trying to being utilized by cloud vendors, right? Here, almost 90% being used by cloud vendors will be managed by that. Here, 80% will be managed by the cloud vendor. Here, almost 50% will be trying to manage by the cloud vendor. This is managed by the cloud vendor, correct? So, IaaS full form is nothing but a infrastructure as a service. That is means in this model, a company will rent the servers. Okay, a company will try to rent the servers and storage they need from the cloud provider. They then use the cloud infrastructure to build the applications and trying to install the softwares. So IaaS is like a company leasing a plot of a land on which they can build whatever they want, but they need to provide their own building equipment and materials. Okay, so that means the virtualization the physical servers, the physical storage manage here. What you are trying to manage, trying to configure the middleware, the try to develop, and the data you will try to manage. See, nothing but a you are trying to required from a cloud provider. Okay, and you will try to use your own softwares inside these servers to build the applications. So it is simply like a company leasing a plot of land on which we can try to build whatever we want. Okay, so this is nothing but a IaaS. It is nothing but an infrastructure as a service. So SaaS, PaaS, IaaS were three main models of the cloud computing, and essentially all cloud services which fit into one of these categories. So, startup companies or mid-scale companies like a private organizations or the government or agencies, depending on their requirement, we can try to choose what kind of a service model that fits in to our requirement. Correct? So simply you want to use an application services over the internet, that under SaaS. And if you are a developer, you want to develop an application where you need a platform, then you will be trying to use a platform as a service. And you had a knowledge on the servers, you deployment, and you want to install your own applications, you need a service on the cloud environment, and you will use your own operating system. Then, if you want to rent or lease infrastructure, then you will be using the infrastructure service. Okay, these are the main things that we'll need to understand over here. All right, process needing for hosting and building access are often included in the organization, and we say to be part of cloud infrastructure as well, services to the customers. Okay, these are the main that we need to understand when it comes to the cloud computing. All right. So simply applications will be provided as a service when the platform being offered applications deployment. IaaS is nothing but you will have an options to choose trying to build like a virtual server, like a CPU, RAM, storage, and everything. It's being completely managed by the cloud vendor. Okay. So this cloud technology started off, tech industry slang term, right? The cloud actually is the term actually. In the earlier days of the internet, the technical diagrams often represents the servers, like a physical servers and the network infrastructure that make the internet as a cloud. Okay. As more computing process moved to these servers and infrastructure part of the internet. So people being users trying to being evolved over the cloud technology. Actually, 20 years back, there is no term called cloud. Okay, it's being slowly evolved, where all the companies and the users, they are trying to still depend on the physical servers. Okay, physical servers usage and trying to invest money and trying to install applications. All right. So what actually happens as the technology being evolved, and the cost of the devices, the physical devices being increased, correct? Even if you see the prices being gone high on in terms of a manufacturing, in terms of an exporting the physical devices, correct? Trying to have us the servers installed and maintaining that infrastructure, that is being a tedious concept. So that's when these cloud vendors coming into the market, they try to think and have an idea, why can't we try to maintain our own data centers and trying to provide the services to the customers virtually over the internet. So that's when the competitors and the cloud vendors which starts in, and Amazon Web Services, they try to, they are the one who initially try to actually completely occupy the market. Now they are trying to currently being the highest uh, cloud provider services currently compared to the other cloud vendors. It's one of the popular model as well. Okay, cloud vendor. So in the same way, the Microsoft Azure, the Google Cloud Platform, and the IBM Cloud, the third-party cloud vendors, they are coming into the market and trying to provide the services to the customers or the companies. So what actually happening here? We don't need to worry about the cost, the maintenance, and the usage. All right, which we have to do from the physical infrastructure. So everything the cloud vendors will try to manage, and simply we are trying to manage and access over the internet, correct? So either it can be a servers, either it can be an applications, either it can be a different softwares. So the most important reasons why cloud computing is rapidly growing, because of various benefits it offers. Okay, it saves the companies, the business, the time and the resources required to set up full-fledged physical infrastructure. That is, we are calling as an IT infrastructure. Okay, so what are the main benefits over here? Reduced cost, correct? The main benefits is nothing but a reduced cost here. That means maintaining IT systems, as we have discussed, requires big outlays of capital investment, something that cloud technology will try to reduce by, because of using the resources provided by the cloud vendors, business avoid the need to purchase expensive infrastructure. Substantially reducing the expenditure, cloud providers work on the pay-as-you-go model, correct? Pay-as-you-go model, what we have discussed. This is our biggest advantage, which means the users or the companies can trying to pay only for the services they use, further reducing the cost. And the next benefit is nothing but scalability. What is scalability? So the cloud technology allows organizations to grow their users from few to thousands in a very short time. Okay, depending on the need. That means your servers can be increased from a small set of servers to thousands of servers within a no amount of time. Okay, so this is nothing but a scalability. You can try to scale up and down. If you have a high traffic, you need a more servers, so it can happen very quickly. If you don't need a servers, you want to terminate those, you want to save the cost, then you can try to simply scale down. So a business can scale their storage needs up and down, and allowing organizations to be flexible. Okay, and the flexibility. So flexibility and collaboration. Since the data on the cloud can be accessed directly via the internet, it gives the users to ability to work from anywhere, anytime. You can access, the resources over the internet from any machine, anywhere over the world. So clouds will give you the freedom to set up the virtual office anywhere you are. Okay, it allows also the team to work on a projects across different locations by giving them access to the same files as third-party vendors. They can access your data, they can try to access your servers and the applications from anywhere. You can try to allow them. That is because we are calling the term as a flexibility and collaboration, right? And business continuity. So what is business continuity? So cloud safely stores your data and protects your data in the event of an outage or any kind of a crisis, right? So it is trying to back up and safeguard your data and protect your data. This makes it easier to resume the work once the systems are up and running again. Okay. So which doesn't actually affect the business goals. It will try to have a continuous business, right? Competitive edge. So cloud will take care of various business aspects. That means such as maintaining the IT infrastructure, licensed software, training personals to manage your data. Therefore, it gives you an edge over your competitors since the time and resources you invest are minimal. Okay. So these are the different benefits what we are trying to understand over here. Okay. So cloud technology is ideal for growing companies because it allows you to scale up your computing capacity as you grow, adding in extra users and opening up a new functionality. Okay. So for example, if company buys a software in a solution from a cloud service provider, they can start out by using the financial elements to speed up the basic accounting process and then move on to the other parts of a system. Like we have a different softwares, right? You can try to migrate as well. And the other benefit being downtime. What is downtime? So almost every companies, for example, they want to upgrade or maintain the servers. Okay, if there is an outage, so what actually happens? The cloud service providers actually, it will try to provide a different services so that you will have a backup where you can try to have a downtime which will try to lead the technical outages, due to which your applications may temporarily experience some downtime, right? So the cloud will try to maintain that process so that you don't need to worry about upgrading or maintaining and resolve the bugs. Okay. The other thing being security risk. So even if your cloud services provider ensure that you have the most reliable security, there is always a chance to lose or getting data being hacked, right? With hackers increasing targeting cloud storage to gain access to their sensitive business data. So that is also biggest concern. So the cloud is also trying to implement a different security protocols and different encryption protocols so that your data will be always in a secure mode. So even it's our responsibility to make sure our data is secure, trying to take proper precautions, correct? So, and the other thing being limited access. So a user may have minimal control since the cloud service provider owns and manages the infrastructure, correct? Because you don't have access to everything like a data center or the physical servers managed by the cloud vendor, right? So the users would only be able to manage some applications, not the complete backend infrastructure. That we need to keep in the mind. So crucial tasks such as firmware management may not, that will not come into a picture. That is not being the aspects that will be managed by the user or the company, because cloud vendor will try to manage that. You always have a trust to third party vendor to ensure security and take care of your data. Okay. So that's when these benefits will try to definitely useful in terms of the cloud technology, where the cloud vendors are trying to provide these kind of a services what we have discussed. Okay. So you can see that different companies where this cloud technology being popular, where you can see this, these are the popular models or the covered, right? There are the different companies which are trying to use like a Dropbox, YouTube, eBay, Amazon, the iCloud, and the Gmail that you're already, sure on, the Twitter, Google Play, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere, everything, the cloud is into picture. That's when, as these cloud vendors are trying to maintain their infrastructure and the data centers, they try to create so many job opportunities in the current market. So that's when, as part of the learning process, the certifications and the jobs that's been created, so the skilled individuals are required to maintain these data centers. Okay, so these companies are trying to maintain the data centers and the applications and the softwares. That's when, as every company is trying to convert into the cloud environment, so they are trying to provide and create the job opportunities, so that every company need, to maintain these services, right, the cloud services. So that's when they need a skilled individuals. That's when the Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, they are trying to provide the certifications as well as these platforms being used by the different companies. That's when the job opportunity is created currently in the market as well. Okay. So these are kind of a various, services, or the characteristics you can see. It is similar like that. The platform provides on-demand services that is always on, anywhere, anytime, any place. Pay-as-you-go services that we have already discussed. The hardware and software services are available to where it can be used, like a general public, enterprise companies, corporate companies, and the business markets. That's what they are trying to help out, right? What we are trying to see here. So cloud computing is an umbrella term used to refer to internet-based development and the services. Okay. A number of characteristics define the cloud data, application services, and the infrastructure. Okay. That means remotely hosted. So that means services or the data are hosted on a remote infrastructure where we are trying to access over the internet. And the other summary being ubiquitous. Services or data are available from anywhere. Okay. And commodified. The result is a utility company computing model similar to a traditional utilities like gas and electricity. That means you pay for what you would like to want. Okay. Simply what we are trying to do, if you need a gas, if you need an electricity, so how much you are using, you are trying to pay, correct? So that's it. The same concept will come into the cloud as well, because whatever the services, how much time you are trying to access, how much time you are trying to use it, you are trying to pay only for that. Okay. But you are not trying to pay for the gas company or not trying to pay for the electrical company. You're trying to use it, how much you're trying to use that. That's what it is trying to explain. So in short, we can say that cloud computing is an internet-based software computing where you have a shared resources, software, and information are provided to the computers and other devices like on demand, like the electricity grid. Okay. So the cloud computing is a culmination of numerous attempts at a large scale computing with a seamless access to a virtually limitless resources. Okay. It's kind of a short summary they are trying to explain about. The cloud symbol is typically used to represent the internet. Okay. So the cloud computing is now commonly used to describe the delivery of a software, infrastructure, storage services over the internet. Users of the cloud can benefit from the organizations delivering the services associated with their data, software, and other computing needs on their behalf, without the needs to own or run the usual physical hardware such as servers and the softwares themselves. So cloud computing is the next stage in the evaluation of the internet. It provides the means through which everything from cloud computing power to computing infrastructure, the applications, and the business process, and can be delivered to you as a service whenever you are and wherever you need them. So that is how it will be definitely beneficial. All right. So why we use the cloud computing? Okay. Till now, what we have understood, why we are trying to use the cloud computing, because reduce the cost and improve the predictability and ongoing operating expenses. Because we don't know, right, how much expense or how much cost I have to spend. We have taken the example of a sample website, right? It enables your employees to work from anywhere, access your data anytime without risk associated with physical storage, since this is managed by the cloud providers. Avoid complex disaster recovery planning. Let cloud computing vendors take care of this for you. And accessing the same class of technology as your bigger, more established competitors. It lets you computing vendors do your server maintenance because they will maintain for you, freeing up your resources for more important tasks. Improve your document control with all your files in a one central location, allowing everyone to work from your central copy. So these are the where, why we use the cloud computing. These are kind of a features what we see here. Okay. So when it comes to the history and evaluation, it started in the mid 1960s. That's when the mainframe time sharing things comes in. Okay. And the 1916s, nines, ARPANET by Licklider, that is the one it started. And the virtualization technique, it started in the 1970. And during 1997, the cloud computing is defined by the Professor Ramnath Chelappa. So after 1990s and in between 2006, it launches. The Amazon is the first one. You can see that it almost captured all the current market. The elastic computing, EC2, simple storage, like a very few services being introduced during that time. And 2009-13, worldwide public cloud services market, it's been growing. And now 2014, estimated global cloud spending like 103.8 billions, right? So it's been keep evolving. It's becoming the popular model. Okay, so that's all about the cloud computing history, the benefits, the services, the understanding, and the introduction. Okay, so I hope everyone got a clarity over here. So in the next class, we'll try to see the various benefits as well and the different aspects of the cloud computing. Okay, I hope the session is worthwhil to anyone. Any doubts? Any doubts? All right, so we are good for today. Thanks everyone. So Chandra, I'm done.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. So thank you, students, for joining the session. So we'll meet on tomorrow. Somebody is asking that. So tomorrow we have semester exam, so we can't attempt the class. Sorry, we can't able to do anything. So you can watch the recordings, okay, from the YouTube. So yeah, thank you. Good to go. We'll wind up the session. Yeah, thank you, Bala.